From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, joined by my dear friend on the line.
I want to watch TV while I'm doing this.
Go ahead, Hector.
So,
Hector, can you hear us?
yes,
Go right ahead, man. Do your intro.
yes. Hector Bosa is still the hottest sickest man on cable access TV. And thank you for one and all, for following me, and for seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a long tunnel, but you have seen it. So, today is the first day of summer, isn't it?
Actually, yesterday was the first day of summer, but you're close.
Okay. Good. That's when baseball season starts to arise. Everything's fine and Jim and dandy. And we've had a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, I'll ask you this question again. What's more disappointing, the Knicks losing or the Nets losing right now?
Both of them losing were equally disappointing, but if I had to pick one, the Nets loss was a colossal disappointment because they were one of the favorites to win the championship.
I say you're right. It is a colossal boo-boo on their part for the simple reason that they were built to win now. And, you know, those people that wanted the Knicks to continue, even I wanted them to continue, but as I told you before, you know, I didn't think the Knicks were going to go past the first round anyway. That was the first thing I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I did say afterwards that I think they have a chance of beating the Hawks. But it's a bigger disappointment with the Nets because look at the crop of guys that they have. And, you know, you can't blame James Harden for not being there. You can't blame Kyrie Irving for not being there because Kevin Durant scored 40-plus points. And, you know, you still have your all-star team because you still got DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin.
Yeah, well, DeAndre Jordan was nowhere to be found for a couple of months. He barely got any playing time in that span. Not only that, but Joe Harris, who was their three-point specialist, a no-show for the last 3 games of that series.
Yeah, it's a shame because, as I said, and you said it too, as we both said, that it is very frustrating when you have an all-star team like that. Not that, now, give credit where credit is due. The Milwaukee Bucks are good. On paper, though, the Nets are supposed to be 10 times better than them. So who took over the game? Explain to the people how they lost.
Well, one reason why they lost was because Giannis Antetokounmpo showed that he is an all-star. He had a terrific game. Not only that, but Jrue Holiday took over the last 5 minutes of the game, making one jump shot after another. Plus, the Bucks were able to shut down Kevin Durant in overtime. I think he made only one basket for the whole 5 minutes.
That's a shame. And like you said, Joe Harris, no show. DeAndre Jordan, no show.
Didn't even play.
He didn't?
No, he hasn't played. He hasn't played in about 2 months.
What is he, hurt or something?
I think he's fine. I don't know about any injuries that he's had.
And, he had the problem with James Harden with his hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
And what was wrong with Kyrie Irving this time?
Irving had a knee injury.
Knee injury. And I still think that they still had enough of a team. So you think the Bucks did their job, or did the Nets beat themselves, or the Bucks were the ones that were actually better than them?
No, the Bucks were a better team this time than the Nets were. And Kevin Durant Kevin Durant did all he could, but that 5 minutes of overtime, he was just nowhere to be found. It was just a great job of defense that the Bucks made of shadowing Durant. Not only that, but they also did a great job of shadowing his teammates, not trying to get a shot off.
And what would be a bigger disappointment is if you have these guys for 2 or 3 more years, and if you don't win the championship, then it became a total bust.
Yeah.
It becomes a total bust, and that's a damn shame because I wanted them to win. I wanted at least the state of New York to win to keep it here.
Well, right now the only hope of a championship rests with the Islanders.
Yeah. And they've had a hell of a run too.
Oh, they've been terrific.
And explain to them how they've been so great.
Well, for one, Kyle Palmieri has been their go-to scorer. He has, I think, 18 points for the entire playoffs. Also, they've gotten contributions from guys like Matthew Barzal and Josh Bailey and J.G. Pageau. Great goaltending from the Russian guy. And it's gotten to the point where the Islanders are really giving a challenge to the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. They're going to be playing. They're going to be playing each other tonight, Game 5 in Tampa, and this is the swing game.
Oh, so it's tied 2-2.
It's tied 2-2.
Oh boy! And like I said, this is going to be. I wonder. After this, there's one more game.
Mm-hmm.
After this, these two teams meet.
Yeah.
There's 2 other teams that have to meet. It's the Islanders and whomever, and that's for the championship.
Yep. And speaking of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the other series, Las Vegas and Montreal, that's tied at 2 as well, and that went overtime last night in Game 4. And the Golden Knights wound up getting the game-winning goal just 90 seconds into overtime.
Who shot it?
What was that?
Who took the lead on that when they won?
The series is tied now.
No, I'm saying in the last game that they played, who was the one that made the shot? Does it tell you, or do you remember?
Let me see if I can...
Because the score was what for the last game that it became a 2-2 tie?
For the record, it was... Nick Roy. Nick Roy wound up getting the... Nick Roy was the one that wound up getting the game-winning goal. And as it turns out, Nicholas Roy is a Montreal native, and he wound up beating his hometown team.
Well, that's going to be good.
Yep. These Stanley Cup semifinals have been terrific so far.
Yeah, because the Islanders weren't supposed to go that far into this series because they faced some tough opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Such as the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yep. Beat the Penguins. Also beat the Bruins, another terrific team. And now they've got the crop of the litter, which is Tampa Bay. The defending champions, by the way.
Huh?
The defending champions.
How good are they? Do they have a chance of winning?
How good are the Islanders, you mean?
Yeah. And do they have a chance of winning and going all the way?
The Islanders have a very good chance of winning. They've got really strong scorers. They're good. They're really talented defensively. They've got good goaltending, and they also seem to get that one big goal when they're supposed to. Their problem is they can't do anything with their penalty killing. They seem to give up untimely goals on the penalty kill, and it's really hurt them in games past.
Yeah, that's true too. Because at this point in time, like I said, the Islanders are a Cinderella team at this point. Because you had on paper they weren't supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
They were just supposed to be a natural movement that every year they were supposed to improve.
Right.
And now you have this, And would it be a disappointment if they lost? Yes, it would be a disappointment, but no, because they're still maturing.
Mm-hmm.
They're still getting their act together,
For them to make the Stanley Cup semifinals 2 years in a row just goes to show you how great of a general manager Lou Lamoriello is. He always seems to have the knack of picking the right players at the right time.
Yeah, and their injuries haven't been much.
This is true.
They've cut down on their injuries, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should be injured or much. Everybody needs a rest here and there because you get tweaks. But nobody should be injured. That's why I like Olympic hockey. Because Olympic hockey, if you fight, you're done. That's it. You're done. And, and when it comes to, let's say, American hockey, they want you to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've seen more hockey than I have. Do they still go wild when there's a fight, or do they just go, oh, are they more subdued now?
Oh, no. They still go crazy whenever a fight breaks out. There haven't been that many fights that have broken out yet, but even when there's a scuffle, the crowd roars.
Yeah, because after the I forgot what game, but yeah, you're right about that. Car, I again, and also the rink is a lot bigger with the Olympics than it is with the National Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
And in most other places too. They're mostly smaller. I don't know why the Olympic size is bigger.
Right.
But they call the game a little better, it seems, and they can't do certain things. That's another thing. They can't do certain things, and because of TV ratings, I think, sometimes they want to see a fight. They actually want to see a fight, and I just don't get it sometimes, You're trying to prevent, if you're cheating or you're in someone illegally, I could understand that. But if you're just doing it just to get your top scorer out or something of that nature, that's the dumbest move there is. Or even if it's to get ratings, that's the dumbest move there is. But I'm glad that the Islanders hopefully have a chance to go all the way. Hopefully they'll win. It's best out of 7, correct?
What's that?
It's the best out of 7 or the best out of 5?
Best of 7.
Well,
And they're playing that
see
fifth
how
game
it plays
tonight.
out. And, you know, on Saturday, I went out for a little bit, and it was funny when the Nets were ahead. Everybody was cheering. You know, first of all, when I went to this place, all the women were cheering for me.
Oh, brother.
And then afterwards, and all the men were hating me. Hate. Yeah. And then afterwards, you know, the game was on, and people were rooting for the Bucks, and some people were rooting for the Nets. And more people were rooting for Brooklyn than they were for the Milwaukee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when what's his name, Kevin Durant hit the last shot to get you hear this big roar, like, yeah, we got this, because they were down by 3, they were down by 2, and he hit a 3-pointer, I think, or he tied the game. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, when they lost, you could hear a pin drop. You can just hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And that was something to see. That was hard. That was heartbreaking. You know, that was very heartbreaking. And I don't know what's going on. I heard, I was reading with the Hawks game and the 76ers game, were they throwing garbage on the court when the Hawks won?
At the end of the game, some idiot threw a plastic bottle onto the court.
And then the rest followed.
Yeah.
It was like being in ECW with the damn chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a chair, Terry Funk says, and he dozens of chairs. Oh, man.
So now the Eastern Conference Finals is Atlanta versus Milwaukee.
Yeah, Atlanta versus Milwaukee. But they took the 7th. Boy, the Sixers lost too against the Hawks. That must have been incredible too.
Yeah.
Again, another Cinderella team, the Hawks.
The Hawks are the Cinderella team in this year's playoffs right now. They've got such a good crop of young players that no one expected them to do that much in this year's playoffs. But you know what? Trae Young once again showed that he can be a terrific player. He shot the ball terribly yesterday, but late in the fourth quarter, he made the buckets when he was supposed to, and he also set up guys that wound up making the big buckets, and that's why the Hawks won.
Yeah, and that was a team that they wanted to trade some of their young guys to get other guys in there. That was just they're finally clicking.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, because the 76ers, what happened to them that they lost?
What happened to the Sixers? Well,
yeah, what happened?
For one,
sleeping or something?
No, they weren't sleeping. Atlanta was just better. Not only that, but Joel Embiid seemed to be the only guy who could buy a basket. Ben Simmons, a guy who used to be a number 1 draft pick, has become nothing more than a guy who is afraid to shoot the basketball. He actually passed up a slam dunk, literally passed on a slam dunk to get the ball to a teammate in the final minutes when his team was trailing. Something's got to be done about Ben Simmons, because not only can he not shoot the basketball at all, he's barely a 40% shooter. But he seems to cower when it's crunch time.
That's true. That's true. That's the same way with the guy in not Zion Williams, but that team in itself. And one of the players there, for some strange reason.
Mm-hmm. I should also say that Tobias Harris had a really good game for the Sixers. I think he had about 24 or 26 points, and he and Embiid were the go-to scorers that the Sixers had. But other than that, they got very, very little else from their teammates.
Again, and Doc Rivers, I don't know. You have a better team. They did have a better team.
Yes, they did.
On paper, they had a better team. The Sixers were a better team, but the Hawks are just marching along. Imagine the Hawks going all the way. Again, who's playing in the West?
Phoenix and the LA Clippers.
The West? Who?
It's Phoenix and the LA Clippers. They already started their series yesterday. Phoenix won by 6 points.
And the mighty Lakers fall down?
Yeah, while the mighty Lakers fell down several weeks ago, the Clippers have been the team coming out of LA and have shown that they got a lot more heart than people give them credit for. Twice they were down 2-0 in consecutive series, and twice they came from behind to win. Just goes to show you how much heart they have. The only problem is Kawhi Leonard is hurt again, so he's going to be rehabbing a little bit, and they're going to see if they can get him back for Game 3 of that series.
Well, I don't understand why hockey is played until June, and basketball I can see being played until the summer because that's supposed to be a summer game.
Mm-hmm.
And hockey's supposed to be a winter game.
Right.
But I don't understand why some of these things go so far, even though it's for ratings and for money. We all know that. But I just don't get it how it becomes up to this time. And football season is around the corner.
Yeah, they're going to start the camps in July.
They're around the corner, and right now, well, first of all, who do you think is going to win in the West?
In the West of what? The NBA playoffs?
In basketball.
The more they've shown me how much they can still beat teams, the more I think to myself that the LA Clippers might come out of the West and win the Western Conference title.
Because that was supposed to be another team that was supposed to be stacked. And that was a team that was supposed to go all the way. And what was the other team again? I'm sorry. Who's playing them again? The Clippers and who?
Phoenix.
How did they make it there?
Phoenix got this far first by beating the Lakers in 6 games, and second by sweeping past Denver 4 straight. And they got this far because, one, Devin Booker has been fantastic this entire playoff run, and 2, Chris Paul has been there to provide leadership and also get big buckets when he's supposed to. Unfortunately, Chris Paul contracted COVID, so he's going to be out for a while. So I want to see exactly what the Suns do. They were able to win the opener, but I want to see what they can do over the long haul of this series without Paul.
You're supposed to, by law, stay in for 10 to 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time that happened,
Either their season would be over or they would cross into the finals.
yeah, depending upon how long he has to stay in, and also the series when they finish. But all in all, like I said, the Clippers are built to win. The Phoenix Suns, were they supposed to win too?
Yeah, they were. They were expected to do a lot this year. Ever since they made the Chris Paul trade, they were expected to advance a little bit further in the playoffs. Not just make the playoffs, but advance further. And now they've done that. They're in the Western Conference Finals. They've already grabbed first blood in that series. So now it's just a matter of time before we see exactly what they could do without Paul.
Yeah. And have you enjoyed the things that I sent you, such as?
Yes, I have.
That I sent you?
Yes, I have. I've gotten every single one of them, and
Some of them are wild,
yep.
like Luka Dante, whatever his name is, from the Mavericks.
Yeah, a particular scenario in which Luka Doncic winds up on the Knicks. Look, Luka Doncic is a terrific player, but if the Mavericks were to trade away or just discard Luka Doncic, whatever chance they had of being respectable is going to go way out the window.
Well, they did fire Don Nelson as GM. And Luka, he really liked Don Nelson. All right. Secondly, again, I think this kid likes New York. According to the article, he really likes New York. And
He likes playing there as an opponent.
Pardon me?
He likes playing there as an opponent.
Yeah. But I think he likes the nightlife too, I'm going to assume, even though we've been through COVID-19 and things have been down and out for about 15 months. And again, can you see him playing for the Knicks?
No.
Because you think they won't trade him. Because remember, he's got one more year in his contract, I think. They only signed him for 4 years.
That's his rookie contract, you mean?
Yeah, you get to sign a rookie contract for 4 years, and then after that. So he may not want to play for that team. So they may force his hand and say, listen, he may not want to play there. And I'm sure pretty much that, they're going to want their trade back. They're going to want, like 3 or 4 more draft picks. And they're going to want someone from the core, let's say core 4, to get this guy. Is he worth getting if they were able to trade for him?
Yep. I could see somebody like Kristaps Porzingis trying to convince him not to make his way to New York, because Porzingis has been a Knick before. He knows all about how that front office operates, and he's going to tell him not to go because that front office is dysfunctional, incompetent, inept, and one false move means they may try and cut them off socially.
Well, so far the front office, the GM position, Leon Rose came in 4th place for his position, and the team is in good shape depending upon what happens next and who they get. But I was just wondering. The only person I'm worried about is the coach because he scares me. Because as we talked about last 2 weeks ago, that Tom Thibodeau, he enjoys working more with veterans than he does with young guys.
Yeah.
And he wants them better because he wants to be assured. But that team is supposed to be built. You know, it's supposed to be, get the young guys and build the best out of the young guys. And that's what you have. You want homegrown talent and let it flourish to some degree.
See, coaches have to be more receptive when it comes to the personnel that they get. Whether it's a veteran or whether it's a rookie, they have to treat each of them equally, not be favorable to one guy over the other.
Exactly. And Porzingis, he ran out of there like a bat out of hell. But then after hearing, you don't want to talk to nobody. Your brother's taking over. You go to the team, you go to the Mavericks, and you do nothing there. They want to trade you. They wanted to trade him as well, and they kept him, I think, because Luka said, "No, I really like playing with him," but he hasn't shown that he is the man as he wanted to be in New York. They were trying to, shine him up really good to be the man.
Well, right now, the guy who is the man is Luka Doncic, and it's not going to change.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, again, it's no more their league anymore. It's the players' league now, because if he says, "I want to get traded and sit out," they're going to cater to his needs. They're going to say, "We're going to get this guy for you. We're going to really build around your team. Trust us," and then make dumb moves.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to do the Carmelo Anthony move ever again.
They cannot revisit that for the life of them.
Because although Carmelo Anthony, was a great player for his time, but trading half the team, practically half the team for this one guy. What was it, one guy or two guys?
I think it might have been one guy.
And you traded half your team. And if you would have kept it, they would have been okay. Not the greatest team in the world, but they would have done better. They would have been better with Timothy Mozgov and Danilo Gallinari and all them. I think they would have done better. But you can't do the Carmelo Anthony trade, and that's another thing that some of the articles keep on talking about. Do not do the Carmelo Anthony trade ever again. Such as you don't want to do it just to get Damian Lillard. You don't want to do it to get CP3. You don't want to do that anymore. You're in a good place. You just have a coach that really doesn't like to rely so much on. I think from what I'm seeing so far, and I'm reading an article, he doesn't like to rely on young guys so much. But he can coach. He can coach because he actually coached them to be one of the best defending teams in the league.
Yeah.
Now, did that have a part with some of the coaches there too, such as David Dale and all them? Who knows? What's your take on it?
My take is that he needs to be a little bit more receptive to his young players because there are certain young players who can really shine, and they proved that on that team this year. Emmanuel quickly was a rookie, and he was tremendous at times. Then there was also R.J. Barrett, a guy who, excuse me, went through a rather mediocre rookie season and then bounced back to have a really great sophomore campaign. And then there's Julius Randle. I mean, even though he's in his late 20s, Randle took 1 year of coaching under Thibodeau and ran away with the Most Improved Player of the Year award.
And don't forget Derrick Rose as well.
Yep, Derrick Rose and Tom Thibodeau have a long history together, going back to Chicago and Minnesota.
And Taj Gibson, he played well.
Taj Gibson, too.
You don't hear his name very much, but he did play as well as could be expected.
Played very well for them defensively.
And some of them other people that may not be there next year because they've actually improved their stock. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, half the team is going. Because they do have options on those contracts. They have one has 3 years, 3-year contract, but 2 options. That means they have the right to match whatever another team wants. Is that how it goes when it comes to an option contract?
From what I understand, possibly.
Yeah, that they have. No, that's restricted. Restricted such as Lonzo Ball. That's a restricted player. But an option, I'm going to assume that, yeah, we're going to sign you for 3 years, but that doesn't mean it's not guaranteed that we're going to sign you. And I don't know if they can go out and go to another team unless the players have rights over you still. That I'm not sure about, but they're smart with money. I mean, the front office has changed completely. It has done a huge overhaul because, again, even though people complained about Worldwide Wesley and some of the other people that were there, but when you have a salary cap that's so under and, you know, you have a young core of players, you're in the right direction because now you can actually sign and max out for 1 or 2 players because you have the money to do it.
You know, it suddenly occurred to me. Donnie Nelson resigned from his job with the Mavericks. What would happen if the Knicks didn't have any of those idiots running the asylum, and they called upon a guy like Donnie Nelson to maybe run the franchise?
Well, he was a coach there at one point, and because the GM and also you had Wacko, the great owner of the New York Knicks team. You know, he was another one. Instead of just once in a while stop, because he was the one that wanted the Carmelo Anthony trade. He was the one that wanted the Carmelo Anthony trade, not the GM at the time.
No.
And that's what happened there. He became George Steinberg. I want that player. You do everything I say to get that damn player. And what happened last year, the next year afterwards, the GM retired. He went to I forgot what I forgot the guy's name first of all, and he was supposed to be fantastic because he was supposed to bring up the young guys and so on and
Yeah.
build the team up. And he resigned the next year afterwards because Don Nelson, I mean not Don Nelson, the owner of the New York Knicks, stuck his nose in there, and that's it. And Don Nelson was the coach for the New York Knicks as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the front office right now and the coaching staff seems to be on the right path as long as the owner doesn't stick his nose into it and goes, I want this player. You do everything to get this player. And that's what happens. But I'm just shocked that when you have, like I said, what are you going to do with the Knicks now? You have, the best one they would say they keep on talking about is Damon Lillard. They're talking about CP3. Then those are the major names, and Lonzo Ball. And then you got, the other guys that that I sent you about. Schroeder, is it?
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder. And I think he would be a great pickup for somebody.
Exactly. And, out of Damon Lillard, CP3, or Lonzo Ball, who would you rather have?
If I wanted the best point guard out of the lot, I would take Chris Paul, in spite of his age. Chris Paul is a future Hall of Famer.
No, you're right. You're right, and he hasn't lost a step. You're absolutely right. I would take Lonzo Ball. Reason being, he's still a young player, and he can grow with the team. He can.
I'm not sure he's the kind of guy that could lead anybody to a championship, though. The Knicks should be thinking championship.
I'm sure that. Well, that's the thing. He's there to play. The forward of the Knicks, I forgot his name again. I don't know why.
Julius Randle?
What's that guy? Julius Randle. Julius Randle is supposed to be the man to lead you to the promised land. He's supposed to be your leader, not Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is supposed to be the player, And Julius Randle is your king right now because he's supposed to be the guy to lead you there. That's your top man right there. And like I said, he's in his late 20s or getting close to 30. He's 28, 29, or 30, somewhere around there. And like I said, you have Lonzo Ball, who could actually grow with R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quigley, Mitchell Robinson, Noel, what's his name, if they decide to keep him. That's a nice team. If you put him there, and he can grow with the team. And I think that would be cool. Because I can see them play. I can see it in my head, R.J. Barrett passing the ball, Lonzo Ball, and they become a really damn good team. Now, that's who I would try to get, but I'm not the GM, and I don't know, how that goes because he's got a restricted contract. Whatever, I forgot the team that Lonzo Ball's in. But
New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. Right now, whatever, let's say the Knicks pay him, New Orleans have a right to match. And that's it. He's still a restricted free agent, and that's it. That's what it's going to take. And Damon Lillard is another guy that's also a restricted free agent as well. The only one that's opted out which they keep on saying in the articles, is CP3, Chris Paul. He's the only one, but
Yeah.
you see some of the other guys like Schroeder and those guys doing anything.
Schroeder, I could see leaving. Chris Paul, I could see 50-50 whether he leaves or whether he signs a new deal with the Suns. He's bounced around a little bit. I mean, he's gone from the Clippers 1 year to the Rockets for a couple of years to Oklahoma City for a year to Phoenix for a year. I would guess that he would probably want to stop moving around and get himself a new deal with the Suns.
He wants to get paid big, though. He wants to get paid a lot of money for 3 or 4 more years left. Because that's, I think in his head, that's what he's got left. And he wants to get paid big. He wants practically a max contract.
At 36 years of age, with all his injuries, I don't see it.
He wants to get more than what he's getting now. And he wants a couple of years on top.
I don't see it. I just don't see it. And if the Suns cave into his demands, then they're foolish.
Like I said, he's going to cost you. He is going to cost you because remember, he's another guy that he could be another coach.
Possibly. If anything, he's already a coach on the court.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You have another coach on the team. And, and then you have the situation of who do you keep from last year's team? Who do you want to? Remember that Spanish kid we were talking about?
Yeah.
How is he going to fill out? Because Pablo Pichion, that's who the guy couldn't think of. He was saying that he's better than him.
We're going to have to wait and see on that one.
Now, and he's gotten good scouting reports too. He hasn't been shabby. He has gotten good reports. So, and Pablo Pichion was a hell of a player, even though he came up in the NBA later in life. But he was really good. And if he's saying that this kid is better than him, and he's a young dude that can still come up with R.J. Barrett, Mr. Robertson, and some of the other young guys out there. That the core that they supposedly want to keep. He'll fit right in if he can get in there and do something. That's going to be something else. And this kid Terrence Mann, the Knicks could have had him. They passed him up. Now they may want him again. They have a couple of draft picks this year. Do you think they'll get rid of the draft picks just to move up? Is it worth moving up? And also, who are you getting? Because so far, you've gotten a superstar in the Manly Quigley this year. But let's see what happens next year, how he progresses. R.J. Barrett improved. Mitchell Robertson, he's a fantastic player. How much will they sign him for? But he's injured prone for now.
And I'd like to see how he is health-wise right now.
Exactly. And I'm sure he's going to be stronger than ever, but just because you're strong, that doesn't mean you're going to get not injured. You're going to get injured. So, there's a lot of if, whats, and so forth in these possibilities because, like I said, I sent you a lot of articles when it comes to Knicks, and it's something. Some of them. The one about who they should get, whose contract they should get rid of. The New York Knicks is Kevin Knox. They were that one of the articles, and I forgot who for the Nets. Oh, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
They were saying that to get rid of him. Well, not get rid of him, but that was a contract that's pretty hefty because he hasn't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Knox was another one that, although he's still a young guy, he's in his early 20s, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't shown any improvement or anything. But,
Right.
Maybe he could become a late bloomer because there have been players that have become late bloomers, or when they go to another team, that's when they flourish.
Yeah. That happens all the time, and it's not just with the Knicks or the Nets either. It's with a lot of the franchises here: the Yankees, the Mets, the Jets, the Giants. I just don't get it.
I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
No, because speaking of the Mets, they have 3 doubleheaders back to back to back, if I remember correctly.
Well, they had a doubleheader over the weekend in Washington, and they wound up splitting that. But then they lost 3 out of 4 to the Nationals overall. They just won Game 1 of a doubleheader a few minutes ago against the Braves today. They're going to have the second game coming up in the next few minutes. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they've got another doubleheader in Philadelphia this coming weekend.
And they still have that 7-inning rule and man on second. I can't believe they did that. But
that's not baseball.
Yeah. I mean, you may talk about the DH and, the National League. Oh, we play small ball. It's more like chess and all that nonsense. But at least the DH is something better than 7 innings, getting the guy on second base, and then going, okay, fine. Is it the guy whoever scores the first, whichever team scores first, or do both teams have a shot?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Both teams have the same shot?
Wait, what was that?
If it's a tie game, right, and it goes past a certain amount, I think, is it the 7th inning where they put the man, or is it afterwards where they put the man on second?
Yeah, it's after. In the doubleheader, if they go past 7 innings, they put the man on second. If it's a regular 9-inning game and they go extra innings, they put the man on second.
After the 9 innings.
Yeah.
And
that's not baseball. That's softball.
But let me ask you another question then. Do both teams have a shot at it, or is it whoever scores the first run?
Oh, they have a shot at it, yeah.
But both teams.
That's right.
Oh, it's not whoever scores the first run. Meaning, like, let's say the Atlanta Braves have the man on second and they score it, and the Mets don't, and then that's it.
The Mets have to have their chance.
Have a chance to get up and try to win the game.
The Mets have to have their chance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what I was trying to understand, and hopefully the people would understand that too.
Yep.
But,
since we're on the subject of baseball, we mentioned the Mets. As far as the Yankees are concerned, they've won 5 out of 6. And I was at yesterday's game with my dad celebrating Father's Day, which meant we wound up seeing the triple play that ended things yesterday.
And tell the people what happened on that triple play.
There were runners on first and second with nobody out, and the A's were threatening. And Aroldis Chapman just could not find the strike zone at all. And then all of a sudden, he wound up throwing a fastball at 100 miles an hour, and it was grounded to third. And then Gio Urshela wound up starting a 5-4-3 around the horn triple play, and the Yankees won the game.
Then how did he start? He caught the ball first, stepped on third,
threw to second, which was occupied by DJ LeMahieu, and then LeMahieu threw to first.
Oh, okay. So the man caught a line drive, let's say, at third base.
Mm-hmm.
The guy caught a third base line drive.
A ground ball.
Got the guy at second. Or did he get the guy at third base, then he get the guy at second?
Gets the guy at third base first, then goes over to second.
Okay. That's a hell of a thing to see.
Yep.
That is a hell of a thing to see. It's a nice thing. I like the trick one too, where the first baseman has the glove, thinks he's throwing it, and then still has the ball in his glove.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. That's softball. That's not real rules.
Yeah.
But the Yankees have been on a roll lately.
5 out of 6. Now they have the Kansas City Royals for about a couple of games. Let me see. Yep. Kansas City for 3 games, Tuesday through Thursday afternoon. And then it's on to Boston for 3 games.
Well, I can see them, taking the series from KC. Boston's another one. Sometimes people get amped for that, but how are the Yankees doing health-wise, and who do they have back that they're playing so well, or is it the young guys again coming up?
Well, the Yankees are still down several guys on the disabled list, so
is it Judge and Stanton?
let's see here.
Because they can only call up, I think, so many players, or they can't call up players because they have that 14-day rule, I think.
I'm trying to look through the MLB app.
Yeah, because the Mets again, their shortstop.
Oh, I do know that Luke Voigt is going to do a rehab assignment, and supposedly he's going to be making his way back to the Yankees this week.
Who's playing first now, then? Who's on first?
It's a cross between DJ LeMahieu and this rookie that they promoted from the minor leagues named Chris Gittens.
Now, how's he doing? He was good in the minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
I know that much.
He's been a strikeout waiting to happen, but he seems to have a pretty decent swing.
Is he a strikeout with power, or is he just?
He definitely has some power. He's built like a power hitter.
Okay, all right.
Well, unfortunately, we have less than a minute to go, which means we have to bid you adieu. But before we do,
yes,
another 4 episodes till we get to number 700.
700, the big 700.
Yep.
Way to go at 700.
Yep. So we certainly hope that you could join us for that fine, fine evening. So until then, we'll see you next week. For Jaime, I am Jaime. For Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass, and for Hector on the phone, I'm Jaime.
I'm Hector.
Good night, everyone.
Night, night.